Hey guys, this is Mauisnake bringing you the first ever episode of Mauisnake's Fresh Catch. So if you guys have been following me for a while, you may have seen other videos I've provided which are basically just me talking to the camera, and there's just text by my face which says kind of what I'm talking about. So that's basically the same thing, but now I have a nice overlay which Thorin has so graciously provided me. So today's episode is going to be about the new Challengers stage of the Major and my predictions for it. So some of these predictions will include what teams I think are going to go 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, and what I think about the first round of the tournament, because that has already been released. So without further ado, let's get into it. For my 3-0 picks, I think the teams are going to be FaZe and Navi. FaZe and Navi have both looked incredibly strong in the recent months. FaZe, one of the best teams in the world, shouldn't even be in the qualifier stage if these were reseeded. But their disappointing performance at the last major with two different players is what got them here. And Navi have looked also really strong lately. They've looked very good with Electronic. The team always does a lot of preparation. Zeus makes sure he prepares a lot for majors, big tournaments like this. This is basically what makes it for Zeus, and you can be sure about it that they are going to be getting out of this group stage with style. The teams I put for 3-1, Cloud9, G2, and Mouse. So I highlighted Navi and G2 because I think both these teams have the potential to 3-0 their groups. But if I had to go for a final pick, I would have put G2 in the 3-1 category. I think they have more potential to get upset. I think that it's very unlikely for a team that's just strictly worse than G2 to beat them, but sometimes they force it by themselves into oblivion, and it's kind of fun to watch, but at the same time, it could spoil their chances of being a 3-0 team. Cloud9, on the other hand, has showed that they are the best North American team in recent months, and in doing so have beaten some pretty good competition in BL1s and even some series here and there. So Cloud9 are a 3-1 pick for me. They just look really talented, they look really strong, and it looks like they're actually really focusing up for the major, judging by just kind of social media cues. And Mouse Sports have looked really stable for a while. This team has played with a lot of structure. They have a lot of stable talent on the team, and you can definitely assume that going into this tournament they're going to be well prepared, and they faced this level of competition before, and Mouse don't get upset all too often either. So I expect them to have a 3-1 going into the major. For my 3-2 picks, I put Liquid, Misfits, and Envious. Liquid also the second best team in North America, very strong team, had a great system for a while. The reason I don't put them any higher is because they're going to be playing with Zeus and not Steel. And although they're going to be practicing with Zeus, he is not the same player that Steel is. And had they had Steel, I probably would have put them at 3-1 for perhaps Mouse or something like that. But given the circumstances, they are going to be playing with Zeus, and I still expect them to beat most of these teams here. They do look stronger than that. The core of Elige and Twist is good enough to get them quite far in this tournament. My other picks are Misfits and Envious. So Misfits have looked really good as well lately. At the Americas Minor, they actually beat Liquid in the winners finals, and in doing so, that's what qualified them for this whole tournament. And the duo of Shazam and Mauisnake is actually a pretty powerful duo. I don't think that's really been on the radar for a lot of CSGO fans yet, but Shazam has been playing really well for Misfits, and Mauisnake has also been, he's kind of on the come up, and a lot of people are starting to notice that this guy is actually really talented. Envious is just a team they've been here before. A lot of these players have been to majors. Happy is even a prior major champion. This team is just really strong, and the reason I have them at 3-2 is because Happy has kind of a knack for throwing games at LAN lately, and in doing so, I think that their potential to get upset in some matches increases. I think I put them in this kind of highlighted category with all the 2-3 teams, because I think a lot of these teams could be on the cusp of making it or not making it, and I think it's kind of a crapshoot to see who actually does go 3-2 or 2-3, and I think a lot of these matches in the last round of the Swiss stage are going to be pretty tight. So my 2-3 picks are Space Soldiers, Flipside, and Renegades. Space Soldiers has looked pretty good at the Premier LAN. I wouldn't say great because they've been beaten by AGO quite handily, and they did pretty good against Navi. They went 2-1 against Navi in the relegation bracket, but they're strong, but they don't look as good as some of the other teams that are here. And flip side, it's kind of a team that I actually just they haven't been really on the radar very much lately since losing Electronic. They've played in some online tournaments and they've done decently in them, but 2-3 might be a little actually optimistic for them, I'd say. Renegades, on the other hand, are probably the strongest team in this 2-3 bracket or column. And NAF has been playing incredibly well lately for them. Nifty is still a very great opper for the team and a great IGL. And the other people, Ustillo, JKS, and Azur, also pretty strong role players too. And I think they are a cut above the teams that I'm listing in the 1-3 category. And those are Avangar, Vega, and Sprout. So Avangar is the winner of the CIS minor. And in all honesty, they don't look as skilled as some of the other teams that are here. Any team that I put above them, I would say is definitely a stronger team than them. Vega, on the other hand, has kind of been just not really played any big tournaments lately. They're only here because they went 0-3 in the last major, and they haven't really accomplished anything since then. I think a lot of people would consider them one of the best CIS teams still, behind Gambit, but it's not like they're really going to be showing up to this tournament as a definitively great team or even a good team. Sprout, the last team in the 1-3 category, I highlighted with blue because it's another team that I think has the potential to do a little better and perhaps replace one of the 2-3 teams. And Sprout have played the Loot Bet Cup online lately, and if you're unaware of what this team is, it's actually a mixture of Penta players and Mouse players. So Dennis and Speedy came from Mouse to play with several of the leftover Penta players from the previous major. And that's why they're here. But they haven't really achieved anything in their time together too notably. And yeah, they're probably about the 1-3 range. I think probably the team that I would switch them with in the 2-3 would probably be Flipside. I think that's the team that's more likely to do worse of those ones that I have listed. And for the 0-3 teams, I put Quantum, Bellator Fire, and Flash. I think neither of these teams have played at a stage this large before. I find it very unlikely that they take any maps off of any teams. I think the only way they can really get a win is if they played each other, or maybe a Vanguard or Vega. All those four teams are definitely the weakest at this tournament, I would say. But Quantum, Bellator Fire have just not the most skill for a tournament of this caliber. They're a main team in Europe, and that kind of says a lot right there. They're just an ESEA main team, and a lot of even premier teams didn't even make it to this land because they're part of the other regions of Europe that have had stronger competition and were in the minor, for example. Flash is a team that shouldn't even really be at this major in general. And teams that kind of just get shooed into tournaments don't have the greatest track record. I think the last time this happened for a major was Splice with Jason R and Professor Chaos was on that team, and I think they didn't win a map in the group stage. But they have their own stickers, so good for them. All right, so we're going to move on to my round 1 predictions. So the round 1 matchups are listed here. C9 versus Envious, Flipside Misfits, and you can read further down. But for my first match between Cloud9 and Envious, I'm going to pick Cloud9. Cloud9 have shown that they are a really strong team. However, I highlighted this game with yellow because I think Envious has some chance to upset here. This is going to be on Cobble, and both of these teams it's not been decided yet, but through research I did on HLTV, I predicted the map picks for all of these matchups, and in doing so, found the most likely match for this is going to be Cobble. I know some teams could pull some kind of tournament antics and try to just mind game the other team and perhaps go for something a little more unlikely, but these are the maps I figure are the most probable for the actual tournament itself. So on Cobble, Envious have shown that they're quite a strong team, and so have Cloud9. The thing is that Happy has a way of self-sabotaging himself and his team at lands, calling more elaborate and just kind of hard to pull off strategies than normally online. If Happy is able to just kind of center himself and his team, I think they actually have a decent chance to take this off of Cloud9. But I would say that Cloud9 are the favorites. I'd probably put it at 65-35 for this game. The next matchup is between Flipside and Misfits. This one I think is a lot more 50-50. We haven't seen too much of Flipside lately, and being such a tactical team, along with Misfits being one as well, this is going to be kind of a battle of IGLs. I think the skill the skill battle here lies in Misfits' favor. Mauisnake and Shazam are probably better than say World Edit and any player on Flipside. And this is probably going to end up on Overpass. It seems to be kind of a neutral map for both of these teams, but some of the bans for Flipside and Misfits do not match up at all, or some of their first picks don't match up at all. For the third match between G2 and Flash, I think this is heavily in G2's favor. I think if the odds for this, though, end up on some kind of betting website, this isn't financial advice, have to always legally say that apparently, but if there is a 1% chance for Flash, and you can get 100 times on your money, I think it's worth throwing $1 at Flash if you do not care about that $1, because G2 have a way of actually losing to teams worse than them sometimes. If that team that's worse than them wins one gun round and resets them effectively. G2 have a really hard time playing from behind. Every time they do get behind, they end up force buying a lot, and that can actually just dig them into bigger and bigger holes in games that they should otherwise win. If G2 stays composed, though, I think that there's pretty much no way that Flash have any chance to win this at all. And I think this is probably going to end up on Cobble as well, and I put also secondary kind of as Mirage, and I think that's also a possibility for both these teams. So the fourth matchup is going to be Navi versus Quantum Bellator Fire. I think this is also heavily in Navi's favor. I think this is one of the most guaranteed matches of this first round, and it's probably going to end up on Trainer Inferno. Just the skill on Navi is just so much stronger than the skill on QBF. So yeah, just really likely to be a Navi pick there. So the next one is Maus and a Vanguard. Again, I think Maus are going to beat a Vanguard tactically, and I think they're going to beat them in skill as well. Oscar is just so strong right now. Rop's playing really well too. Everyone on Maus is playing actually quite well, and a Vanguard have not been on a stage this big before. It's just very unlikely that they pull out this victory, and it's probably going to be Trainer Cobble. So for the next one, this is another game that I think can go either way. I don't know enough about Sprout yet to make a great estimate, but Space Soldiers have been playing quite a bit on LAN lately. Sprout has, when they were named Sprout, they have not played a single LAN yet together, and for them to succeed in their first map on LAN together seems very unlikely for me. But however, this is a pretty good team, and a lot of these players all have made majors before from Sprout, so it is possible that they're just going to be naturally comfortable and can naturally have some chemistry that we are not aware of. So I am going to put this in Space Soldiers' favor, though. They've been in America for a couple weeks now for the Premier LAN. I think that actually does give more of an edge than you'd think. You're just accustomed to the time zone. You're accustomed to just kind of like the climate, and all these things actually can go a long way. They were just in New York playing, and now they're going to be in Boston. It's pretty close, you know. I mean, it's that from the East Coast, the Tri-State, to the just New England area. I think they can handle the slight chillier weather of Boston fine. But this is probably going to be on Trainer Cobble, or this is probably going to be on Mirage or Cobble. Sorry. So the next game is going to be FaZe versus Liquid, and I think this is going to be quite much so in FaZe's favor. And Liquid have a chance here, so I put not the brightest green, I put a kind of darker green here, but it's still very heavily favored for FaZe. I think if Liquid have, I'd say about 20% or less odds, I think that's potentially worth it to bet, but I'd still probably stay away from this one, I think, unless you're going to just bet on FaZe. And if FaZe gets something like 70%, I think that's also worth going in on also. And this is probably going to end up on Mirage or Inferno, which both these teams have played each other on before. They played each other quite a few times at this point, and FaZe has usually got the best of them in recent history, and probably will here as well, as they're going to be playing Zeus instead of their actual fifth. which would have been Steel. So yeah, pretty confident phase pick there. And the final matchup is going to be between Vega Squadron and Renegades. And this one, Vega has not been playing all that well lately. They've been losing to a lot of kind of random teams in their region, and Renegades are just looking good. They're not superstars by any means yet, but they are playing very well. And this is probably one of the best iterations of Renegades that has been around since this org has picked up this roster. And yeah, I think Renegades is going to take it, and I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a Mirage pick. Both of these teams do pick Mirage regularly, and I think they're both going to be comfortable playing each other on it. But that's going to be it, guys, for the first episode of Mauisnake's Fresh Catch. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and if you have any feedback about my predictions, remember, this is not financial advice. And yeah, that's going to be it. So hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks. Bye.